How is everybody doing here on this Friday afternoon? I'm Devin Albertson for the Weekend Sports Kickoff, along with Sean Nino, Ryan Elliott, and Joseph Andrews. Our producer right now is Caleb. How's it going, Caleb? In the other room, you can't see him, but he's doing a great job behind the scenes for us right now. As we're going to get into more Bearcat sports here, talking about the football game going on tomorrow, of course. You want to see our preview game day show at the Pavilion with Sean, Max Moore, and Evan Brown. You can check that out 12:30 to 1:30 after the parade, which will be on KNWT on everything they have with, whether it's Facebook Live, KNWT Channel 8, everything pretty much will have the game. We'll have the broadcast for the parade and then the game day for everything KNWT and everything that we do here at the radio station, whether it's regular 106.7 LP or if it's KZLXFM.com or it's a TuneIn radio app. We have everything. It's easy to get a hold of us. Just seek us out a little bit. We'll get it to you as well as we can. And guys, this game Saturday should be interesting versus a 2-5 Lindenwood team that still has a lot of talent, kind of in transition with a new coach, but they are playing more competitive than they have in the past couple of years.
This is the best 2-5 team they're going to play all year. It's also the only 2-5 team they're going to play all year.
That's a fact. It's a great fact.
Facts.
So, no, Lindenwood's a talented football team. It's a team that has played well against a lot of good competition. They've played poorly against some mediocre competition. It just depends on how each team comes out. If Northwest comes out and plays the way that they are capable of, I don't think the game's close. If they can come out and get a good atmosphere and really play, then I don't think it's close. But if they come out a little slow and if they have some issues to start with, Lindenwood's got a chance to make this game interesting.
Yeah, I do, especially if the Northwest offense comes out flat like it have in the past few weeks. It could spell trouble a little bit there to keep the game closer than it should. But we'll see what happens here with the Northwest offense. I think the running game will be just fine versus this 4-2-5 defense. It should be able to get some yardage there, allowing 221 yards per game, pretty much as Lindenwood's defense. 166 yards on the ground per game for the Northwest offense. That might go up a little bit this week after seeing this. Thompson, their true freshman running back, has 2 games of 100 yards or more this year versus Southern and Northeastern. So we'll see what he does here versus Lindenwood on Saturday. Sean, what do you got for us? You haven't talked in a while.
Funny. I mean, as you talked about, the offense has to come out, because if they don't, then we're going to see games like we've seen earlier on in the year where, 13-10, 24-20. And I think with Northwest bringing back guys who have been hurt, that it's going to help boost the team. Plus, because it is homecoming week, there's always a special vibe to it. And I mean, as we saw last year, they decimated a Pitt State team, and I am hoping that we'll get to do the same thing this year. But I'm going to hold back in what I've seen, just because they haven't showed me that they can be dominant every single game, but they've still won every single game, so I can't be down on them whatsoever.
Right. And we all remember what happened last year during homecoming. They ended up with the number 1 play on SportsCenter's top 10.
Expect that happening again tomorrow. I'm kidding. Don't expect that.
Do expect that to happen again.
My tweet was on SportsCenter the morning after, too.
Hey, I remember before that game, I called it, like, Northwest is going to score over 60 points on Pitt State, guaranteed. And Isaiah thought I was crazy, and I was right. Just so everybody knows, I just want to, the one time, I just want to make sure that when I know I'm right, I want to make sure everybody knows it, because it doesn't happen a whole lot when it comes to predictions that are outlandish like that.
It doesn't happen a whole lot at all.
Yeah, that's fair. But also, I'd watched Pitt State play earlier that year versus Fort Hays and get demolished on their defense. I'm like, yeah, their defense is not good. We'll be fine. But Lindenwood defense, better in the past defensive course with that 4-2-5 defense, a lot of speed there in the secondary. Bakari Triggs is their nickelback. There's their third safety, and he was honorable mention 2 years ago, and I think third team all-conference last year, so he's one of the better defenders there on the defense side of the ball, with Connor Harris gone to graduation in the NFL.
And as good as Connor Harris was, this defense sets up for the inside linebackers to have a lot of tackles.
Yep.
Just the nature of the 4-2-5 defense sets up the inside linebackers to have a lot of tackles, so the better inside linebacker should have 120, 130 tackles in a season.
Their freshman linebacker right now, Sears, has 57 tackles. He's second on the team.
Yeah, and that's what this 4-2-5 defense sets up for. That's just the way it sets up.
I mean, their leading tackle is a safety at 70 tackles with Darius Williams right now. So that's your 2 leading tackles right there. So
that, to me, says that they're getting gashed in the run game right now, which the running statistics support. Very, very, very good. There are gaps on the defensive line. 2 inside linebackers is an issue a lot of times against the run. You only have 6 people in the box most of the time, and generally...
Their D-line's not huge. It's 6'3", about 260 across the board, including one DN. Arsante Connors, he is 6'2", 220. So he's really undersized for a defensive end in that 6-man box.
And generally with a 6-man box, if you're blocking with a fullback or an H-back or a tight end, everybody's matched up, and the running back can get into the defensive backfield before anybody even hits him. And that's a situation where Lindenwood has had some struggles, and I think that's what may spark this Northwest offense a little bit this week, is if they can get the running game going. This offense is really good if they can get the running game going, and they're going to have a chance to this week.
You'll play action after that kind of goes off. And Martin's been efficient this year. I mean, he's not going to turn the ball over. 14 touchdowns, 1 pick, 1,700 yards passing. He's been decent this year, just hadn't been the ridiculously efficiency that Zimmerman had last year.
We were spoiled last year.
Yeah, we really
with
were.
Kyle
We
Zimmerman.
were really spoiled the last 2 years with Bowles and then going into Zimmerman.
Yeah, it really was. And if you look at the passing attack, with 2 of the top receivers being out the past couple of weeks, and then the case of drops has really affected the offense too. You get something going, then all of a sudden they drop pass, and your offense stalls out because what should have been a 15-yard gain is nothing, and you have to retry it. And it's just really difficult to get a rhythm with drop passes. So we'll see what happens. But I think, especially with Devontae Mosby coming in, another wrinkle to the offense there on the outside with that big body, and just him. Maybe if he's not catching passes, but him blocking on the outside as a big receiver tight end sort on the outside. He was all conference. He was all state in high school at receiver tight end for a reason. He's got skills out there, and we've seen him. We know in basketball he can go up and get jump balls. We can see that again here on the football field. And from what I hear, he's very comfortable on the football field. He's not like a fish out of water out there. He's used to having a helmet on, the shoulder pads, and he'll be good to go on Saturday.
Yeah, and this becomes a dynamic offense when you get guys healthy. So Williams, Bain are both close to coming back. Jones, I believe, is close to coming back as well. This becomes a very dynamic offense when guys are going to get healthy. When you add the dynamic of Jordan Thompson in the backfield. If you can split carries between he and Emmanuel Jones late in the season, this becomes a dangerous offense. I think that's where the issues have lied thus far, is that the weapons just haven't emerged yet as what they could be.
And one thing they'll keep your mind on for this game is there's a chance of rain tomorrow, chance of thunderstorms, so maybe a weather delay in there, maybe could throw off some rhythm for each team. As I'm looking at the weather right now from weather.com, I'm kind of looking for Maryville tomorrow. And only a slight percent chance until about 1 o'clock kickoff time, 25% is about the highest I see in the morning before that, but starting at 2 o'clock, thunderstorms until 8, and from anywhere from a 60 to a 90% chance at that time. So if there's lightning, they'll delay the game, and that could be a mess there at the stadium to see how that all works. So hopefully it doesn't I don't care if it rains really that much, because it won't affect us in the booth, but it might affect the people in the field, and of course Evan Brown on the sideline doing our sideline reporting. But it could affect, if there's lightning, they'll delay the game and just make it a really long homecoming game for Northwest. So we'll see what that entails with the weather coming through, but it should be about 70, so it won't be too cold in the game. It's just that thunderstorm raining could affect the outcome of the game and make the passing game harder and make Northwest run the ball a little more, and that could help them going forward with that running game versus the weakness of the Lindenwood's defense. So yeah, so anyone else have anything else to say about what's going to happen in this game? There's not a whole lot you can say when you have a 7-0 team, number one in the nation, the best defense overall, versus a Lindenwood team that's underachieved a bit this year, trying to get their feet underneath them with a new coaching staff and stuff like that. I mean, I looked at their stuff last night when I was previewing for this game, and Jed Stugart, their head coach, 7 seasons at Sioux Falls before this, and he had 3 more at NAIA Mid-American Nazarene. Overall, through his first year at Lindenwood and the other 10 years everywhere else, 93-29 overall. So he's a really good coach. Combined 3 conference titles, 5 playoff berths, 1 more bowl berth. So he's been really, really effective there as a head coach in both NAIA and Division II. So I think he's going to be able to build something at Lindenwood to keep them relevant going forward in this game. Okay.
I do want to see if the defense, if they can come together and put their third shutout at home. You talked about way earlier on in the show that they've only allowed 10 points at home, and it's actually the first I know they kicked that Central Oklahoma kicked a field goal earlier on in that game, and that was the first points that Northwest had allowed in the first half, and it happened to be in the first quarter.
Yep.
And so I just want to see how this team can kind of mold together. This is not the same names that we've had the past few years, but guys have continued to step up.
Yeah, so other games to look forward to in region right now, because the regional rankings will come out Monday, I believe, for Division II, the first ones for the playoffs. 7 teams per each region, and I think there's an elimination game over in Topeka this weekend. Central Missouri at Washburn. Both teams have lost 2 games. Both have lost to Fort Hays and Northwest. So this is an elimination game. If you lose this game, you're not getting into 3 losses.
Yeah, and I don't think if the season ended right now, I don't think either of those teams gets in either.
It's a mess right now in the division in the region because there's so many teams with 2-3 losses. So
you get 2 teams from the GLIAC, 2 teams from the MIAA, 2 teams from the GAC, and then 1 from the GLVC.
Right now, the GAC, there's a bunch of teams with 2 losses, 1 team with 1 loss, and they're all beating up on each other. So they might actually get to the point beat each other out, and one of this game might be able to sneak in with 2 losses.
The only issue though is if you get that issue, those 2 teams have 2 losses, and you have Grand Valley, Ashland, and Ferris,
and they all have to play each other
GLIAC.
still. And I'm getting to that because Grand Valley plays Ferris State this weekend. Both teams have 1 loss. Grand Valley, they lost their out-of-conference game to Indianapolis, who is right now leading the GLVC. Ferris State, they lost to Ashland earlier this year. And Ashland, they're playing Tiffin. So it's another – if Tiffin loses, they're probably out of the playoff picture. They have 2 losses with a game with Grand Valley later this year. If they lose this game, they're probably out of the playoff picture as well. So if you look at Grand Valley –
Maybe. I think Grand Valley can get in with 2 losses.
Grand Valley right now, they play Ferris State this week. They still have Ashland and Tiffin on their schedule.
Yeah.
So they have 3 tough games in this year.
If they beat Ashland and Tiffin, I think Grand Valley gets in with 2 losses. I think they're the only team in the GLIAC that gets in with 2 losses. I think if Ferris has 2 losses, I don't know that they get in.
Yeah, so we'll see what goes on from there. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a little more basketball talk here on the Weekend Sports Kickoff on X106 and KNWT, Channel 8, Facebook Live. Welcome back into the Weekend Sports Kickoff. I'm Devin Albertson. We'll go to women's basketball here for Northwest. They've picked to finish 12th out of 14 teams in the conference. I think this team has a lot of talent compared to past year. They've actually matured a little bit. They have a little more older talent now with Tanya Meyer leading the way with Benson and company. So I think they're going to be a decent team this year. I think 12th is a little bit low, a little bit more than what they did last year. I think they're going to be a little better this year. I think I'm not picking to win the conference or anything. I think it's going to be like 8th, 7th, be up there. Maybe get to host a home game the first week.
Yeah,
of the
they're going to
tournament.
compete. They're going to get a chance to compete, I think, this year in this conference. They're going to go through. It's going to be a tough conference season. This is a tough basketball conference when it comes to women's basketball, and so they're going to show up and they're going to be able to compete a little bit this year. Again, yeah, I don't know that you pick them to win the conference, but that 7th, 8th, 9th, somewhere in that spot, maybe get a chance to beat some teams that maybe they wouldn't have been picked to, or beat some teams they didn't last year, and have some opportunities.
It's a really top-heavy conference. If you look at the top 4 teams, all got first-place votes with Central Missouri, Pitt State, Emporia, Central Oklahoma, all really good. Fort Hays, usually a good team, Western. So it's really hard to break into that top 6 because they are so talented. They have a history built up. I think the Bearcats this year, as I said earlier, led by Tanya Meyer, their best player. She's a senior this year. Also the juniors, Macy Williams, Aubrey Benson, Detlinger, all there. A bunch of freshmen coming in there. Big freshman class. No sophomores on this team, so a couple transfers coming in are upperclassmen. So I think there's a lot of talent here. And Buck Shield in his second really full season as a head coach. In that first season, he was the intern. Then this is his second full season as the actual head coach. I think he's going to make big strides here, and they're getting the recruits that he wants in here a little bit and getting to play the basketball they want to play.
And Buck's he's a great basketball coach. He's good at motivating these girls. He's good at coaching them up, and I think he's got a good core there in those 3 juniors, especially with Benson and Detlinger and Williams. Those 3 juniors are going to be not even just this year, but moving forward into next year as well. That's going to be the core to kind of build this young freshman class around. And I mean, you've got Tanya Meyer, and that's going to be a great person to have this year. That's a good start for this program, but I think then you look toward next year to have that core of juniors to build the rest of the young players on this team around.
Yeah, and if they start their season on November 10th and 11th down in Bolivar against Henderson State and is it Ouachita or Ouachita?
Ouachita.
I always mess that up. Ouachita Ouachita Baptist will be the first game the 10th, and then Henderson State the 11th, and their first home game will be November 15th against Peru State, and then Maryville University on the 20th. So that's our first games calling for women's basketball and men's basketball. Their preseason poll came out today, and of course the men are number 1 in the preseason poll, followed by Central Missouri and Washburn, who got the only other first place vote by Ben McCollum, as we can all tell who Ben voted for in theirs, because everybody else voted
You can't vote for yourself.
If it came out 14-0, I'd be like, hey, Ben, come on
Ben,
now.
like, we know that you're good, but
So, yeah, Washburn,
don't vote for yourself.
Washburn got a vote there, followed by Kearney, Central Oak, Southern, Fort Hays, Pitt State at 8th now with the new coach Anderson from Missouri, and used to be UCM, so they'll be better here in the near future, among others there in the MIAA. So the men's team, of course, their season starts next Friday versus Duke in an exhibition game there in Durham, North Carolina, before they play Upper Iowa and Northern State on the 10th and 11th down in St. Joe for their games. And home opener the 17th of November versus Metro State out of Denver.
Upper Iowa is a big-time matchup. This is a team that's given them some tough games over the last 2 years, nearly beat them in the first round of the playoffs last year. Okay, this Upper Iowa team, this is what will set the tone for this season.
It was
That
74-79.
opening game against Upper Iowa. And that's where you look at, I expect this team to be just as good, if not better than they were last year. You've got Pitts back, you've got Endow back, you've got Xavier Kurth back. You added and Brett Doherty as well, who was I think a lot of the time underrated on the inside. You've got Joey Withus, the transfer from Minnesota State, the junior, 6'6". The kid can shoot. Ryan Welty obviously has a great shooter on the outside, and expect bigger roles from Dre Starzl, the 6'8" junior from Kearney, Missouri, on the inside, and Tyler Doherty as well, Brett's younger brother.
Maybe some Ryan Hawkins
as well. Yeah. A 6'7" freshman is from Atlantic, Iowa. You look at this team, and this is as complete as they were last year.
They'll miss the leadership of Mosby and Snyder.
They will, and
I think they have enough leaders behind them to withstand that.
Right, and the other thing that you look at that I think you miss is I think. And as much as great of a player as Zach Schneider was, as great of a player as Woods was, the big guy you're going to miss is Devontae Mosby.
The energy guy.
Mosby was going to go out onto that floor, and he was going to work.
He's going to work
on every play, and that's something I think you're going to miss. But I think there's also a chance that you get an Endow or a Xavier Kurth, or even a Joey Withus to come out and fill that spot. The guy that's going to energize this program a little bit, and you've got a little bit bigger stable of senior leadership with Pitts, Endow, Kurth, and Doherty, all seniors, all four going to be on the floor at the same time most of the time. So you want Endow to take a little bit bigger of a role. If he can improve his three-point shot a little bit, this guy's got a chance to be really good.
He's super athletic.
He was, and Ben McCollum has said in the past that Endow he thought was the second best player in the conference last year behind Justin Pitts. This guy has a chance from the senior Stavanger, Norway, 6'6", 211 pounds. He's a freak athlete. If he can get his three-point shot down,
33% for his career, 32% last year. It's a little bit down last year, but I think he can improve it.
If he can improve his shot a little bit, he's got a chance to be a really, really good basketball player and really an unsung hero for this basketball team. Pitts is going to be the guy. Pitts is going to be, he's the preseason favorite for every award you can possibly think of. MIAA Player of the Year, NABC Player of the Year, First Team All-American. He's the favorite for just about all of that. But I think Endow is going to step forward and take an even bigger role with this team than he did last year and could have a great season.
Yeah, definitely. And, of course, Justin Pitts. We'll have all the updates when it comes to later in the year for all the records that he's going to end up setting and then just putting out of reach in Northwest history.
It's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah. He already has the all-time career points leader going into his senior year.
That's incredible.
So, anyway, at a 5'9" point guard, it's just incredible how well he's done there.
For the record, listed at 5'9", on the website he's listed at 5'10".
He grew an inch from last year.
He is absolutely no more than 5'7".
Yeah, maybe. I have friends who are 5'8", and they tower over him. Like, Pitts, there's no way.
But
I
a fantastic basketball player nonetheless.
Yes. If you look, it's not like he's just a scorer first guy. He's at 435 assists, which is second in Bearcat history. So he's scoring, assisting, pretty much anything you want him to do right now. Shoots a high percentage of the point.
Unbelievable.
And if for a point guard to shoot and that small to shoot over 60% during the seasons and stuff like that, it's just ridiculously good. His floater's nearly unguardable from his position. So we'll talk about more about Justin Pitts when the season comes.
Well, and this is something that is rarely ever seen in Division II basketball. It's incredible. This is a once-in-a-lifetime type of player that you're seeing in Justin Pitts right now. And it's great to have him here now, to have him here while all these great things are happening on campus around him, with football playing well. We've had a good volleyball team the last few years. Soccer's improving. Athletically, baseball's improving. Softball's improving. Athletically on this campus, things are going well, and it's just incredible to have a once-in-a-lifetime type of player like Justin Pitts here while all of that's happening.
And also Justin Pitts, he probably won't set the three-point record because Snyder put it out of reach, but he's going to finish second because he's 4 behind Austin Meyer right now, which was the previous holder before Zach Snyder. So unless he hits 160 3-pointers this year, which he had 80 last year.
Yeah, that's
not going to happen.
Number.
That's going to happen. There's the season record is 108 by Zach Snyder, followed by 101 by Zach Snyder, and 91 followed by Zach Snyder. So Zach Snyder was just the 3-point king here at Northwest.
Absolutely, and
now with the graduate assistant,
he will be for a very, very long time.
He was just ridiculously good there from the 3-point line.
That's an untouchable record.
So we'll see what happens this year. Maybe Ryan Welty can take over his spot there as the 6'7" 3-point shooter on the floor, space it out.
And Welty's got it. The issue with Welty last year was he was a little bit trigger shy.
Yeah.
He didn't shoot. I know the coaching staff was trying to get him to shoot more often,
which
almost
70%.
Never happens. You almost never tell a guy shoot more threes. That rarely does that happen with the style of offense that Northwest runs.
He shot 66.7% for 3-point last year.
Yeah, and
more.
So
please
don't expect him to shoot 66.7% this year because the sample size is going to go
52
up.
of 78.
He's going to shoot a higher volume, so he's not going to shoot 66%. He'll probably shoot somewhere in the 45% range, which is still great, absolutely great. But he's going to take more shots, and as you mentioned, he's going to have a chance to step in to that sort of wing role, the taller guy that you don't necessarily expect to hit the three.
The 6'7" stretch 4, just he has hair.
Yeah,
instead of Zach
people are going to leave him open every once in a while because they're going to think this guy can't shoot threes, and then he'll have that opportunity.
And if you look at Northwest, you pick your poison. You either try to stop Pitts on the inside, and then you have to come off on shooters, and then you have Welty, Endow
cutting to the basket. That's going to be the big thing is because with his
Doherty dropping as well.
With his can shoot, and he's an athlete, he can cut to the basket. But the big one is going to be Endow cutting to the basket because that's the energy for this team. Endow cuts to the basket, he goes up, throws it down over their 6'8" center. Okay, that's the energy for this basketball team.
Yeah, so it should be fun to see how this team plays this year. They were a lot of fun last year, and I know we're talking about a lot of offense stuff right now, but this is a very good defensive basketball team.
Defensive basketball team. That's what set them apart from the rest of Division II basketball last year. Division II basketball is that sort of score first, and that's what sets Northwest apart, I think, from the other teams in Division II basketball, is that they will play defense first. They're going to shut you down. They're going to control the tempo of the basketball game, and they're going to play their brand of basketball, which is unbeatable if they're playing their brand of basketball.
And if you look at Northwest, like Kurth is not a greatly skilled offensive player, but he plays such good defense. He's just such an asset to the team. So with Endow, he struggles offensively. His defense, he's so long and athletic, it really helps him that way. Doherty is an underrated defensive post. And just do a nice job help side. They do a great job with help defense and stuff like that. So they're a fun team to watch play basketball this year. So I look forward to them play. I don't know how much they'll actually play their guys versus Duke, because this is a weird situation where Northwest comes back with a bunch of their good players last year after winning the national championship game, and Duke usually schedules the national championship game, and that team usually lost a bunch of seniors, so it's usually a blowout. So we'll see what happens. It probably shouldn't be a close game.
No, it really shouldn't. And honestly, I would be very happy if they get within 30. This is just the biggest thing about the game against Duke, because it's an incredible experience to go play in a historic arena against a team with all kinds of history. Yep. This is really, it's more not necessarily a basketball game so much as it is as a celebration for this team. And I think that's what you need to look at this exhibition game as, is this is a celebration of Northwest National Championship. This isn't, yes, it's a basketball game, and yes, Duke's going to want to win. Northwest is going to want to try to knock off Duke.
I just want to see Pitts cross over Gracetown one time. One time!
Ben McCollum's going to come into this game, and he's going to coach wanting to beat the Duke Blue Devils. There's no doubt.
Let's have that mentality.
But this is a celebration of their national championship. They get this opportunity to go to Durham, North Carolina, and play against one of the most historic basketball programs in college basketball history in their arena. And that's a celebration.
So that's it for the weekend sports kickoff. Everybody have a good and safe weekend here on campus for homecoming. Enjoy it here from Maryville, Missouri. So I'm Devin Albertson, and we're out here for the weekend sports kickoff.